Here's the truth this cast keeps dodging. The biggest hypocrites are getting the most screen time. The ongoing saga continues its proud tradition of manufactured chaos, this time featuring a baffling attempt to exile certain married women, Giselle and Wendy, from the BTG orbit, as if selective social engineering might somehow elevate the proceedings. The irony, of course, is that the franchise already perfected exclusion years ago, which is precisely why viewers stopped bothering with it. Yet here it is again, trotting in uninvited. Naturally, this circus collides with the ever-messy Bill-Danny situation. Bill appears determined to hint at a longing for Danny while pretending otherwise, all while Vernon, in a dazzling display of hypocrisy, dares to lecture Bill about loyalty while discreetly betraying Anita. Moral authority clearly has no eligibility requirements anymore. Then there is the Ashley-Derek-Andre triangle, a storyline that manages to be both predictable and spectacularly unflattering. Ashley's heart was never exactly a mystery. Andre was always the preferred choice, and he finally displayed the good sense to shut the door on that fantasy. Actions, as always, carry consequences. Meanwhile, Derek, self-appointed arbiter of romantic propriety, seems to have forgotten his own enthusiastic encounter with a coworker on Ashley's couch. Outrage is apparently far easier to perform than accountability. His sudden claims of deep devotion could only impress someone who missed every previous episode. And yes, the exasperation with Ashley and Derek as a duo has reached a near universal saturation point. Amid the chaos, a minor mystery surfaces: the curious absence of Madison's name in the ending credits. Nothing dramatic there, only the standard practice of crediting those who actually appeared on screen. Madison still exists, still circulates within the plot, and was off having Thanksgiving dinner with Chelsea's family. The cameras simply took the night off. Derek, for all his flaws, did manage a rare moment of accidental clarity. Ashley's lingering attachment to Andre was not a revelation. He merely said aloud what everyone else already knew. If there were one precious day to sit with the writers, the advice would be painfully simple. Pace the storyline, elevate the tension, and for the love of narrative, stop stretching 3-day anticipation into episodes that could have aired any random evening of the previous week, when the highlight is Derek and Ashley. Yes, that is the current state of affairs. You know the bar is not just low, it has tunneled underground. The episode did provide a few small amusements: Shanice openly abandoning any pretense of working, the accidental reveal of Smitty's full name, Bradley Smith, because even mysteries deserve anticlimactic endings, and Bill's entirely pointless detour to see Vernon. Respect between those two left the building long ago, yet they insist on rehearsing the ruins. Speculation continues that Bill has swapped a certain potion and is waiting patiently for the right moment to deploy it, hence his sudden devotion to the Dupree family. And as if the atmosphere weren't already thick enough with scheming, Leslie continues her witch-like meddling, while Vanessa remains inexplicably committed to her aspiring villain routine. If tomorrow's episode shows even the slightest pulse, it will feel like a holiday miracle. Here's the part of Bill Hamilton's so-called redemption arc they hope you won't question. The sudden burst of sentimentality radiating from William Bill Hamilton can mean only one thing: the universe is preparing to drop a piano on his head. In serialized drama, a character reflecting on past mistakes is rarely engaging in emotional growth. It's usually foreshadowing. Whether the grave is metaphorical or temporary is anyone's guess, but the tonal shift is unmistakably ominous. Of course, Bill's newfound longing arrives with a generous side of selective memory. The Duprees owe him nothing, not after he detonated every chance he ever had with them, figuratively and otherwise. The man is clinging to ghosts, insisting that someone, somewhere, must still care about his emotional landscape. Unfortunately for him, no one is awarding sympathy points simply because Haley is allegedly alone in the world. Meanwhile, the Ashley and Derek saga continues its marathon run, an endurance test for anyone still attempting to care. Their storyline has become the narrative equivalent of elevator music, omnipresent, repetitive, and in desperate need of replacement. Not that Ashley limits her theatrics to Derek. Her impromptu floor show with Andre, right in the middle of the nursing unit, was so conspicuous that Shanice barely needed popcorn to complete the tableau. Then again, Shanice rarely misses an opportunity to absorb other people's business. She monitors workplace drama with the vigilance of an air traffic controller. Ashley might consider redirecting some of that energy inward. A bit of self-discovery would do wonders before attempting to latch onto anyone new, especially Andre. That ship not only sailed, it left the port, crossed the ocean, and docked somewhere with better judgment. There are plenty of other possibilities in the sea, preferably ones that don't require reminders about professional boundaries or the century in which checks went out of fashion. The cast outside this romantic carousel isn't immune to confusion either. Ernestine's appearance in Beyond the Gates as a nurse raises questions that may remain blissfully unanswered. Still, even questionable casting choices highlight an essential truth. Soap operas thrive on their villains and underdogs. These characters fuel conflict, elevate emotional stakes, challenge the heroes, and keep viewers guessing. They are the engines of chaos, and chaos is the beating heart of daytime drama. Bill, ever the emotional nomad, seems torn between yearning for the Duprees and pining for Danny, or both, depending on which version of his conscience is speaking at the moment. Yet after hearing how thoroughly he fractured Danny's heart, it's astonishing that anyone still imagines a reunion between them as anything other than wishful thinking. Despite the melodrama, the production accomplishes something rare, a thriving black soap opera that doesn't imitate the spectacle of franchise housewives franchises. It refuses to reduce women to bickering caricatures, and it shouldn't start now. The show stands firmly on its own narrative merits. No designer label chaos required. Never assume a character has hit rock bottom. This show keeps handing out shovels. The episode arrived with an unusual gift: momentum. Vernon and Bill provided the rare spectacle of adult men speaking with emotional clarity, and Mr. Davis delivered it with admirable restraint. Joey, of course, occupied every available inch of screen time, as he tends to do. While Derek momentarily remembered he possesses a spine and returned Ashley's theatrics with a few truths of his own. Smitty's suddenly flirtatious turn with Martin offered comic softness, and Danny demonstrated that being a genuine friend occasionally requires stating the obvious, even when the obvious is inconvenient. Winterfest will no doubt serve as the stage where everyone's unresolved chaos collides, but the pre-event tremors are already entertaining enough. Ashley continues to function as the series' resident irritant, demanding sympathy while behaving as though accountability is a foreign dialect. Her outrage over Derek's misdeeds is notable, especially given that his most egregious moment, making out with someone else in her own home, was hardly subtle. Yet Derek isn't exactly a pillar of moral superiority. Both parties lied with equal enthusiasm, which makes his sudden burst of righteous indignation somewhat adorable. Meanwhile, Bill has discovered that the grass he sprinted toward is, in fact, astroturf. His attempt to pour his heart out to Vernon was touching, if only because regret tends to soften even the hardest characters. Unfortunately for him, Danny has stopped centering her life around his chaos and found someone who actually values her. Bill now must juggle lost love with the charming revelation that his impulsively acquired child bride may have lethal aspirations. A rejuvenating subplot, if nothing else. Vanessa's narrative grows increasingly tangled. Her insistence that her work with Joey was legal remains a creative interpretation of the truth, especially now that the money laundering details are emerging. Her partnership with Joey feels less like a plot and more like a collective migraine. The sooner this storyline is retired, the better. Even Danny, ever patient, doesn't know the full truth about Vanessa's extracurricular financial activities. Martin, for his part, should perhaps reconsider a political career when half the cast is aware of a skeleton in his closet large enough to qualify as a roommate. Joey, ever the omnipresent puppet master, continues to remind Martin that they are never done, a threat that will eventually force the self-proclaimed good guys to decide whether they possess the stomach for a permanent solution. Elsewhere, Eva's parentage rumor mill spins on. If she turns out not to be Ted's daughter, no outcome will be tidy. Terminating her job would look cruel. Maintaining it while cutting her off financially would be cold. Explaining it to Kat may require divine intervention. And while some seem intent on pairing Ted with Shanice, the chemistry remains about as convincing as a group project romance. Vernon, despite conspiratorial whispers, is not cheating. The certainty with which this is asserted feels almost prophetic. Ashley and Derek, however, are trapped in their own melodrama, and Ashley's best career path may indeed involve a swift relocation to Port Charles, where her penchant for dramatic spirals could finally be considered a professional asset. Sharp-eyed viewers have noticed familiar faces from reality television making cameos, further blurring the line between soap opera and unscripted spectacle. And in a moment of geographic clarity, it appears Banneker University may function as a multi-campus institution, one conveniently close to Isaiah's work life, another mysteriously more distant for Vanessa's children. Shanice continues to occupy the background like a human periscope, absorbing every detail with studious enthusiasm. Meanwhile, someone has proposed resurrecting Billy Clyde Tuggle as Joey's brother. A crossover suggestion, as chaotic as it is oddly compelling. As for Bill, the crowd has spoken. He made his choice, and Danny has moved on. Regret may be poetic, but it does not rewrite history. He would do well to focus on the tumultuous situation he voluntarily married into, rather than gazing longingly at the peaceful life he discarded. In short, everyone is lying, scheming, flirting, regretting, or running for office. Winterfest should be delightful. Here's what no one wants to admit about Bill, Haley, and the Duprees. The wrong people are demanding the right kind of loyalty. The latest chapter of this never-ending domestic opera opens with Martin once again entangled with Joey, the perennial reminder that gravity isn't the only thing determined to drag a man down. Meanwhile, Smitty is on a scavenger hunt for revelations no one asked for. And truly, what did Bill imagine would happen after cheating on Danny and discarding both her and the family? A warm, welcome brunch? Bill's sudden craving for familial respect is a marvel of selective memory. He strutted around with Haley while Danny dissolved quietly in the background, waiting for crumbs of loyalty. The moment Danny stopped weeping and reclaiming whatever dignity he hadn't siphoned away, Bill crumbled. Now he demands that the Duprees respect his new wife, an impressive request, considering that Haley repaid their hospitality by disrespecting every person under their roof. Vernon's refusal to entertain that revisionist plea is the one act of sanity in the room. Questions linger about the vanished Giselle and Wendy scene, but chaos elsewhere compensates. Vanessa, for instance, remains parched enough to irrigate a small county. Her attempt to solicit clients for her discreet little business, at a country club no less, suggests a remarkable misunderstanding of the word discreet. Danny, in contrast, continues proving herself the rarest commodity in this universe, an actual friend willing to tell the truth. Across town, Ashley and Derek reprise their exhausting loop. Derek keeps crashing through her workplace like an emotional battering ram, as if proximity might substitute for accountability. His perpetual woe is me routine raises the question of whether one can love someone while simultaneously collapsing in self-pity at every turn. Yet, in a miraculous twist, the man managed to locate a spine somewhere within that walker and delivered the most honest words he has ever uttered. A holiday miracle, apparently. Ashley, however, remains trapped in the storyline that refuses to die, while Shanice silently reacts in the background like the show's unofficial Greek chorus. Some have suggested pairing Ashley with one of Vanessa's professional acquaintances, presumably in the hope that outsourced affection might accomplish what Derek never could. Elsewhere, viewers puzzle over Haley's mysterious liquid contributions to Bill's well-being, or unraveling. If it's designed to make him long for the Duprees, it may be the first potion in history that functions as poetic justice. In the realm of speculative entertainment, a proposed holiday storyline imagines Ted, freshly scolded through his finalized divorce, encountering Vernon emerging from a certain hotel room. The facial expression alone would justify the airtime. Meanwhile, the show's community continues to observe that declarations like, "Do you even watch the show?" remain the gold standard of smugness. And among the numerous administrative pleas floating around, one wonders why it remains so difficult for participants to follow basic rules and answer introductory questions. Finally, Bill's visit to Vernon, framed as a plea for Haley's acceptance, reveals itself as a thinly veiled attempt to heal his own wounded ego. The irony, of course, is that he remains blissfully unaware of what Haley is actually doing to him. When that bomb drops, even the country club may not be able to contain the spectacle. Through it all, Danny's unwavering loyalty, Derek's intermittent bursts of courage, Vanessa's relentless entrepreneurial enthusiasm, and the show's unrestrained theatrics ensure that the gates of this soap remain wide open and delightfully unhinged. Here's what no one wants to admit about the Gates. The villains aren't the problem, the delusional heroes are. The Gates continues its proud tradition of behaving like a town held together by dental floss, denial, and bad decisions. Every character seems determined to sprint toward catastrophe, and the show, ever generous, happily opens the door. Ashley, for instance, might finally benefit from solitude. Her storyline remains trapped in a perpetual orbit around Andre, a man who is married, unavailable, and, if common sense had any say, irrelevant to her future. Yet the narrative insists on resurrecting their connection like a soap opera seance. Meanwhile, Derek exhibits the dramatic flair of a man auditioning for his own spin-off, storming into her workplace to confront her, apparently forgetting he was recently locking lips with a colleague in someone else's living room. He wants her to face the truth, though the only truth clearly visible is his own hypocrisy. Kat and Eva's shared DNA is already more than enough togetherness. Eva's newfound filial status has transformed Ted into a walking disappointment factory. He bends over backward to accommodate her whims, clings to a baffling friendship with Leslie, and behaves with the timidity of a man grateful for any affection after years of marital collapse. Some insist he is back on track, armed with a finalized divorce, tentative peace with Martin, and protective support from Eva and Andre. Yet none of this corrects the fact that he hovers in emotional limbo, collecting validation like coupons while clinging to the fantasy that cordial conversations with Nicole constitute closure. Leslie, meanwhile, remains the reigning queen of delusion. She has never offered a sincere apology to Nicole or the Duprees, despite multiple attempts to harm Nicole's assistant. Somehow, she still wonders why their homes and their parties remain closed to her. The mystery is staggering. Shanice, mercifully, continues to observe this spectacle with the cool precision of someone who understands everyone else is exhausting. Her potential elevator entrapment with Ted could be the most productive thing that happens to either of them. Forced proximity, accidental honesty, perhaps even romantic sparks if the building decides to cooperate. Shanice remains the rare character capable of challenging Leslie without fear of spontaneous combustion. The Winterfest looms, promising chaos, and Vanessa is already drowning before the event even begins. New faces appear on the horizon, likely the ones cornering Vanessa in conversation, because this town's population grows only when trouble needs new oxygen. Elsewhere, Fairmount Crest Hospital continues its reign as the least desirable medical facility in the region. Between mysterious poisons, suspicious liquids, and an unending carousel of sketchy behavior, checking in might be more dangerous than staying sick. The theory that Randy's poison supplier received a bottle of repurposed tap water from Joey Armstrong is disturbingly plausible, exactly the kind of petty survival tactic Bill would applaud. Bill himself had the audacity to visit Senator Dupree seeking forgiveness, and possibly his wife, as though innocence were something one could simply request at the front desk. The senator dismissed him with impressive efficiency. His boy-bye energy was practically audible. Haley continues to stalk the moral bottom rung of the ladder, prompting fair questions about whether she is eliminating the men she scams. Her marriage to Bill seems less like a relationship and more like an ongoing investigation waiting to happen. Should one of her former victims resurface mid-wedding, the resulting chaos would finally give Bill something productive to do. Joey remains a walking red flag. making it entirely believable that Vanessa's inevitable wedding day catastrophe will occur the second Doug wanders in with newly restored memories. Soap logic requires it. The audience demands it. Kat's attempt to drag Martin into dealings with someone widely acknowledged as the devil will undoubtedly sabotage his political life, assuming he survives long enough to have one. Meanwhile, Martin's growing entanglement in Joey's orbit suggests danger ahead. Yet he continues marching toward it with unearned confidence. And in the background, Danny and Bill's trip down memory lane rattles Naomi and Chelsea. Haley and Randy contemplate elevating their deadly scheme. And Andre faces a tempting offer threatening everything he built with Danny. The town may be collapsing in slow motion, but at least it's collapsing with enthusiasm. Finally, the existential question remains. With 21 episodes left in the season, what fresh disaster has this show not attempted yet? The possibilities are endless, and with this cast, none of them will be handled responsibly. The Gates, as always, is thriving, if one defines thriving as spiraling with style. Here's what no one wants to admit about Bill and Vernon's showdown. It was never a rematch. It was a reality check. Vernon's victory lap over Bill was almost merciful. Almost. After all, watching Bill stand there, blinking like a man who misplaced not only the plot, but also several functioning brain cells, is becoming a weekly tradition. Vernon offered him a gentle verbal tap on the wrist, yet Bill still behaved as though he'd survived a grand inquisition. One might expect someone with a law degree and a corner office to grasp basic concepts like consequences, boundaries, and the emotional aftershocks of one's actions. Evidently not. Bring out the prayer circles. Bill needs them more than legal briefs. Martin, meanwhile, dispenses advice about resilience with the kind of sage confidence usually reserved for therapists and talk show hosts. Everyone can use a little extra love and shelter from the storm, he proclaims. An endearing sentiment, though the storm in question seems to hover permanently over this entire cast. Vanessa, sailing blissfully toward disaster, is on the brink of a rude awakening. The woman is out here handing out business cards at a country club like she's running a pop-up side hustle in the produce aisle. When Danny eventually discovers what's going on, and she will, Vanessa may want to invest in something sturdier than emotional armor. Ted continues his reign as the man least qualified to offer guidance to anyone. The invitation fiasco at Martin's home is a masterclass in unnecessary ambiguity. He looked directly at both Eva and Leslie, delivering an invitation that was unmistakably plural. If exclusivity had been the goal, the English language offers a helpful tool called direct address. Ted chose instead to perform a group outreach and then feign innocence when clarity evaporated. Spectacular. Leslie, to her credit, declined. Though considering Ted's escalating theatrics, turning down anything he extends may be the wisest approach. Elsewhere, Derek the fireman arrives with the confidence of a man ready to stand in truth. His, Ashley's, or whoever's is most convenient. Haley, on the other hand, continues her ill-advised campaign of chemically manipulating her husband, apparently unaware that his ex-wife could unravel her scheme before the pills dissolve. The Thanksgiving episode itself offered a rare reprieve, warm, well-paced, and far less chaotic than the surrounding commentary tends to suggest. The show still provides meaningful representation and thoughtful moments when the cast isn't busy sabotaging itself, perhaps shifting the collective gaze toward those strengths rather than wallowing in rivalry and cynicism would serve everyone better. Still, curiosities remain. The much-touted Anita Williams impersonator vanished from the holiday lineup, and the celebration inexplicably migrated to the country club despite earlier plans. Rowena's cooking remains as hypothetical as Bill's emotional awareness. Bill appears perpetually stricken, a lonely boy searching for a lost best friend. Vernon's brutal truth, "You left us," echoes louder than any courtroom closing argument. Divorce has a price, and no one walks away unscarred. By day's end, the gates close, the zingers linger, and the chaos simmers just enough to ensure tomorrow's storm will be waiting right on schedule. Vanessa's breakfast with Danny takes an unexpected turn when two club members approach. Seems they're not thrilled with Vanessa's attempt to hook them up with literal gigolos. Danny is stunned that her friend is pimping, so to speak, for Joey's business, and more so upon having Vanessa declare, "The skeezy business is mine." Danny is downright shocked, but Vanessa says that she's more herself than she has been in ages. "You are grieving, and you're reaching out for anything that makes you feel better," says Danny. "But you have to be careful of what reaches back." Vanessa opens up to Danny, both laying their true feelings on the line. Why is Vanessa interested in Joey? He treats her like an adult, letting her make her own decisions. And yes, that includes running an escort business. Danny promises to stand by her friend, just as Vanessa stood by her. Everyone can use a little extra love and shelter from the storm. Smitty is helping Martin's campaign manager go through recent checks when he opens one that gives him pause. It's from Joseph R. Armstrong. "The R is for reprehensible," suggests Smitty before grabbing his coat and ducking out. He shows up at the casino to return Joey's check and ask that he leave Martin alone. Martin arrives just when things get tense between Joey and Smitty. Martin makes a speech about what a good man Smitty is and how much his husband loves him. But it's clear that Smitty isn't thrilled with how the conversation is going. Joey says they can all coexist as long as Martin's politics don't get in the way of the casino owner's priorities. But when Martin leaves with Smitty, he very pointedly does not take Joey's check. Back home, the husbands agree that Joey is a dangerous man, best avoided whenever possible. Vernon opens the door to find Bill standing there. The men walk down memory lane, each defending their past actions. Bill says he wants Haley to be welcomed into the community, saying he's all she's got, and he wants to protect her. Vernon admits that Bill didn't only hurt Danny, he hurt the entire family. "I can apologize for not drawing you closer and mean it," says Vernon. "But only you can tell whether or not that would have made a damn bit of difference." Bill admits he loved Danny and that being part of the Dupree clan made him happy. Vernon will never forgive how Bill hurt Danny, and Bill admits he regrets how things went down. Crossing paths at the nurse's station, things quickly get awkward between Derek and Andre. Andre tries making nice, but Derek puffs out his chest and gets defensive. Andre is about to say something about Ashley when she enters, leading him to take off. She admits to Derek that she kinda sorta threw herself at Andre the moment she was no longer engaged. Ashley insists that Derek was never second best, then brings up his lies. "Did it occur to you maybe that I was scared out of my mind that I was going to lose you to Andre?" he asks. And it turns out it wasn't just in my imagination. She wants points for never having acted on her feelings, but he asks the tough question, had I never gotten injured, would we be together? Ultimately, he realizes that she was never really his to lose. Meanwhile, Andre tells his uncle that he is very much in love with his wife. Sure, he saw a future with Ashley at one point, but things shifted with Danny, and he's all in where his wife is concerned. And once alone with Ashley, Shanice tells her about the female firefighter who made a play for Derek, adding that he turned her down. Why? Clearly, he still loves her. Beyond the Gates spoilers for Tuesday, December 2nd, reveal some bombshells up ahead in Fairmont Crest. Danny Dupree and Bill Hamilton share a moment while Jacob Hawthorne uplifts. Plus, Andre Richardson is approached to form an unholy alliance. Learn more about what will unravel on Tuesday's show below. Beyond the Gates spoilers for Tuesday, December 2nd, hint that Danny and Bill will recall a spicy moment from their past that leaves their daughters unsettled. It looks like Danny and Bill will join Naomi Hawthorne and Chelsea Hamilton at the Fairmont Crest Country Club, and the talk may turn to the family's life together while the girls were growing up. Some sparks may fly between Danny and Bill while the Beay'd reminisce about their marriage, but something will be said or done that leaves Naomi and Chelsea concerned. What could this be about? Meanwhile, Danny's new husband, Andre, will get propositioned for a shady alliance. Who could the proposition come from? It might be Derek Baldwin, hoping Andre will help him win back Ashley Morgan, or could Joey Armstrong approach the freelance photographer for something? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Speaking of unholy alliances, Beyond the Gates spoilers for Tuesday suggest that Haley Hamilton and her cousin Randy Parker will talk about their ever-evolving plot to get rid of Bill. With Joey asking a lot of questions about the nature of the relationship, will they decide to up Bill's poison dosages to get the job done? Or will they retreat and halt their scheme due to suspicious minds? Lastly, Jacob will uplift a friend. Is this Derek? The firefighter is struggling with his breakup from Ashley and his role in losing the girl of his dreams. Will Jacob help find the words to give Derek some hope? What storyline are you most looking forward to during Tuesday's show? Beyond the Gates spoilers suggest that Andre Richardson is about to make an unholy alliance. So will Derek Baldwin ask for his help to win back Ashley Morgan? Let's talk about it. Beyond the Gates spoilers hint that Derek will also approach Andre during the Monday, December 1st episode, asking the freelance photographer pointed questions about Ashley. Derek lost his dream girl for good when she found out he was lying about his progress after an accident left the firefighter paralyzed. Derek took small steps to walk again, but kept it from Ashley. He claims he wanted to surprise her on her wedding day. However, it was clear that he was afraid of losing her, as the two reunited shortly after his accident. One of Derek's biggest threats was Andre's chemistry with Ashley. He was afraid he'd lose her to the freelance photographer, as Derek could see the sparks between the nurse and her friend. With that said, Andre is a happily married man, with Danny Dupree as his wife, so could he ask the man's help with winning Ashley back? Feelings don't just go away, and while Andre did turn Ashley down after she approached him when she broke up with Derek, he may feel as if she needs to be with someone to ensure he stays committed to Danny. Still, what kind of help will Derek need to win back Ashley's heart? Will he want advice or for Andre to put in a good word for him? Would he have a scheme he needs help with? There may be no hope that Ashley will reverse her decision. After all, Derek's betrayal on the cusp of him placing her on the spot to set a wedding date in front of Jacob Hawthorne and Naomi Hawthorne set Ashley over the edge. Still, if Andre does help Derek with a scheme to win Ashley back, and the nurse finds out, could this jeopardize Andre's friendship with Ashley? This month, Beyond the Gates' Colby Muhammad dropped a video on Instagram. She felt the need to check on the Cat fans out there. At the time, it had been a rough week for Cat fans. But honestly, it was a rough month. Kat Richardson had to deal with a few blows as the co-owner of Chelsea Cat battled her brother, her half-sister, and even her dad. Additionally, her boyfriend was unhappy with her. But no worries, Kat doesn't back down. She perseveres, and that's all because of her portrayer's strength. And for that, Muhammad takes a step into the spotlight as BTG's Performer of the Month for November 2025. The only characters that have had more showdowns on BTG are Leslie and Danny. Kat is up there with them because she does not shy away from a good fight. Her arguments may be flawed, but she believes in them wholeheartedly and refuses to pivot even when it would be the smart thing to do. Kat leads with passion, conviction, and an upscale attitude that can often transition into condescension. And in November, she had to go into battle on a regular basis. Samantha accidentally overheard Kat gush about her sex life with Tomas. And even though Kat tried to do damage control, the teenager ran with it and got in trouble with Nathan. This situation spiraled into a showdown between siblings Martin and Kat. Martin was the one who was out of control here, but Kat held her own. She hadn't meant for Samantha to overhear what she said, and when she realized it, she tried to talk to her, but it didn't work. Of course, Kat and Eva confronted each other multiple times, but things grew heated after Kat heard Eva call Ted Dad. As irrational as Kat's thinking was, there was nothing she could do. Ted wanted a relationship with the daughter he had just discovered. Kat would have to learn to deal with it and share, and that wasn't something she was willing to do. And finally, she eavesdropped on Martin and Eva's bonding at Uptown. The two new half-siblings had plenty to say about Kat behind her back, and as a result, Kat had plenty to say to Eva and to Martin. Somehow, Colby Muhammad has a way of creating a character that people want to root for, even as she says and does things that are completely inappropriate and downright vicious. She told Eva that she wished she had never been born, because if she hadn't, they would all have better lives. Most people who say something like that would be canceled, but not Kat. Sure, she has her haters, but she also has devoted followers. Muhammad positively glows as her character goes head-to-head with her enemies. However, she also instills in Kat some self-awareness, so it seems like she's always on the verge of soul-searching, changing her opinions, or being vulnerable. Kat is fierce, loyal, petulant, and larger than life, and Muhammad continually finds ways to breathe life into her storylines. On the Tuesday, December 2nd, episode of Beyond the Gates, Danny and Bill recall a fiery moment from their past, which leaves Naomi and Chelsea unsettled. In other news, Haley and Randy discuss escalating their murder plot, while Andre is presented with an unholy alliance. Bill had to watch the Duprees celebrate Thanksgiving from afar. However, he gets some post-Thanksgiving family time with his daughters and his ex-wife. For some reason, Danny and Bill can't quite stay away from each other, despite being committed to their respective marriages. According to the weekly spoilers, Danny and Bill recall a fiery moment from their past. Could this fiery moment be one of the times they were in sync as husband and wife, or one of the times they clashed? Whichever moment they choose to rehash, it leaves Naomi and Chelsea unsettled. In what way? While Bill bonds with his daughters and Danny, the new Mrs. Hamilton is busy with her cousin Randy. The topic of their conversation veers into the deadly. Haley and Randy discuss escalating their murder plot. So far, Haley has been taking the slow-to-kill route. She has been lacing Bill's herbal tea with the concoction Randy secured for her. Maybe Haley doesn't like how long it's taking for Bill to feel the burn, so to speak. And now she and her cousin discuss how to raise the stakes and speed up the process. That Haley is cold. However, as much as she doesn't love Bill, her ego doesn't appreciate his constant focus on his ex-wife. So she might feel that Bill has got to go sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, during their recent honeymoon, Danny and Andre went all in on their commitment to each other. They got rings, exchanged a new set of vows, and they even admitted they loved each other. As Danny spends time with Bill and their daughters, Andre experiences his own fiery moment. Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates. On Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, Danny and Bill have had their share of moments in the storied history, and in Tuesday's episode, they recall a fiery moment from their past that leaves Naomi and Chelsea unsettled. Meeting at the Fairmont Crest Country Club, the four sit down to drinks, and the talk becomes something for the fans to relish as soapy drama picks up again fast this week. Randy has become deeply concerned that Haley is putting their plan in jeopardy, especially so close to getting to the magic payday. In Tuesday's episode, Haley and Randy discuss escalating their murder plot. Things have to start moving faster, or the risk becomes greater, especially since Joey is suspicious of the pair's real connection. He always finds out, but can the Dupie stay ahead of him and Bill long enough? We should start to see more of how Haley intends to utilize Isaiah in her plots and schemes, too. We haven't seen Derek for a hit minute, and he was notably absent during Thanksgiving. Where was he, and what has he been doing since Ashley left him? In Tuesday's episode, Jacob bolsters a friend in need. Knowing that Jacob is one of Derek's best friends likely points to Derek leaning on Jacob, literally maybe, but definitely figuratively this week as he navigates post-Ashley life. Danny and Andre went to LA, not for a photo shoot, but for a honeymoon. The couple enjoyed Thanksgiving together and apart, and aside from a turkey and CO2 extinguisher incident that went off without a hitch, they had oodles of quality time. Now that it is past the holiday, we need to get back to high drama. And that means that in Tuesday's episode, Andre is propositioned with an unholy alliance. Stay tuned, soap fans, as this week ramps up the drama as we head to the end of 2025. Beyond the Gates. Daily YAPP for Monday, December 1st. Welcome to the Beyond the Gates Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. Welcome back to BTG after the Thanksgiving holiday repeats and preemption. The week has well and truly kicked off with a hiss and a roar. I'm so happy we got a scene with Ashley and Derek and Andre. These conversations needed to happen. I'm sure we all thought about the fact that Ashley went straight to Andre after taking her ring off, messaged him, and then over he came. That had to hurt hearing that. But having that conversation on screen was great. Derek owned his deception, so why didn't Ashley? And what did she mean she never acted on her feelings for Andre? Have we forgotten the trip to Paris at Andre's apartment? Sure, they never slept together. But is that the litmus test these days? The yardstick to determine whether feelings were acted on? Ashley never mentioned any of that. Confronting Andre was great too. Not because I don't like Andre. I do. He's one of my faves and has had some of the best character development on the show. Derek and Andre had danced around the topic, but Derek's venting was natural. With luck, the Ashley-Derek thing is well and truly dead and buried, and both get to move in new directions. Great start to a new week, BTG. Want more details? We got you. Soap Central has the best full recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not. Seriously, do not forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below.